The Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf, a lot of good Europeans in here, and I think they may have a very strong say in the outcome of this Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf. Best way to play this, all the Breeders' Cup races and all of your action is through NYRA Head on over to NYRABets.com if you're not a member. Use the promo code CUP25. We'll give you a free $25 bet as well as matching up to $200 of your initial deposit. A big overflow, big field, 14 horses signed up in this Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf. Now remember something about this race. Because of the way the turf course is constructed at Keeneland, it's 1 mile and 3/16. And that means it starts at the very top of the stretch. So that's not necessarily going to punish horses with outside draws. And I think that's important because I like the number 14 Cayenne Pepper in this race. But let's start out by looking at some horses from America, and that's Rushing Fall, Mean Mary, and Sister Charlie, who won this race 2 years ago and finished third last year. Now, Sister Charlie has not shown that kind of form at all in this year as a 6-year-old, and she may have tailed off last year. But I think she's dangerous in this Filly and Mare Turf, and I'll tell you why. At Saratoga at this time, the rails had come down and speed was very dangerous on the course. And Mean Mary had the run of the race, and the uber-talented Rushing Fall, who basically always shows up with a big effort, was able to run her down. But they did it setting a relatively moderate pace, and it made it impossible for Sister Charlie to close. And I think you're going to see a different scenario in this race. So frankly, of the 3 horses in that race, I actually like Sister Charlie the most. I don't totally trust Rushing Fall. She's got to get an extra 16th of a mile. And for a horse that's more been a miler in her career, 1 mile and a 16th, I think she got the 1 mile and 1/8 last time because the course helped her. Now, Mean Mary was helped with more distance because she seems to be better the farther they go. But I think Mean Mary's a little bit dressed up. She got a gold rail at Belmont 2 times ago, a very favorable trip last time out, and I just don't know that she's as good as these horses. Is she going to be in front? Is a horse like Harvey's Little Goyle going to show speed? Will Rushing Fall flaunt her speed? Because frankly, she's the fastest horse early in this race, and if they want, they can go to the front with her. All questions, and I think the pace will be honest in here. I'm against the top 2 finishers in that race, and of them, I prefer Sister Charlie. But there's a very, very talented horse in Udara who's coming in from overseas, a 3rd-place finisher behind Tarnawa in her last race in the very prestigious Prix de l'Opera. This is her win 2 back, though, in the Group 1 Prix Jean Romanet. This was at Deauville. She was almost 50-1, but I thought she ran extremely well. And she proved that that race was no fluke. She had been coming into it well, and she ran a bang-up 3rd in the Prix de l'Opera. She's running fast figures. She is a big-time player in this race. One of the things, though, I don't love about Udara is I like horses from Europe that are more being pointed to moving forward the Breeders' Cup. She was pointed to races like the Prix de l'Opera. They're coming to the Breeders' Cup because she's in great form, and I can't blame them. But is she necessarily going to continue that good form? Got her 4th in the race. I think she can win, but I prefer horses that have been pointed more for this race, and I think that Cayenne Pepper might be a horse like that. Cayenne Pepper last time out won the Blandford Stakes, and this was a Group 2, and it's the best race that she ever ran, and I like the fact that she's moving forward. If you look at her time form ratings, they're getting better with each race, and these are the kind of horses that over the years we've had some success with in the Breeders' Cup. Horses that are improving, coming to this race, and he hasn't raced in almost 2 months. You'd have to believe that they've more been pointing towards this race, and this is one of a number of 3-year-old fillies that are running on this Breeders' Cup card that have enormous amount of talent. I think Cayenne Pepper, even with that post 14, I hope she has the speed to find herself in position, and I don't think she's going to be that badly compromised. Let's go back to the U.S. and look at the Flower Bowl, our prep at Belmont for this race, where Civil Union beat My Sister Nat, and she also beat a horse that gets in off the also eligibles. That's Nay Lady Nay. I don't know that any 3 of these 3 are good enough. Civil Union has gotten absolutely brilliant rides and great trips in her last 2, and probably My Sister Nat ran the best race in here, having to close in the outside while Civil Union was saving ground and split horses in the stretch. I don't know that these horses are good enough to beat the Euros and even some of their counterparts coming from the U.S. They're nice horses. They've improved for their trainers, but I just don't know that they're good enough. I think Terabellum is dangerous, however, stretching out in this race, and that's the number 7, Terabellum. Now, she didn't run well last time out, but she caught that heavy course at Newmarket for John Gosden. I like John Gosden shipping her here. Yes, she was a disappointment in her race 2 back when she finished third at 4-5. But Nazif, who beat her, is very good. This was her race in the Queen Anne at Royal Ascot, and a race that a lot of people thought would propel her to a huge year, where she suffered a brutal beat to, at that time, the good Circus Maximus. Now, he's tailed off, and we'll talk about him in the mile. She looked like she had it won. Circus Maximus outgamed her the wire. Terabellum is going out for Godolphin in those blue silks. I know she didn't run well in her next 2 starts, and they were a mile, but they were soft and heavy courses, and she gets a firmer course, which could really help her in this race. And don't worry about the distance. She's won 1.25 miles, and in doing so, she ran pretty well. She's got some fast races, even though she's been a bit of a disappointment. And I think Terabellum for John Gosden is a player in this filly and mare turf race. Peaceful comes over for Aidan O'Brien. And I want to say, well, no, I know this race was won last year. It was not Aidan, it was Iridessa won it last year. But Peaceful's got good races like this Prix Diane. This was a loaded Prix Diane, a race she finished third with Fancy Blue, Alpine Star, 5th place finisher, ran well to win our Grade 1 Belmont Oaks, though not nearly as tough a race as this. Peaceful, I think, even though this was a mile and 5/16, a mile and 3/16 possible. Is she more of a miler? She was an absolute disaster as well in the heavy going last time. So bad that she clearly didn't handle it. She ran fine 2 races back. She lost to Champs-Élysées, who ran very, very well in there. In general, I stay away from the Aidan O'Brien runners, and I think this horse's best races aren't necessarily fast enough to win in here, but she is part of a very strong contingent coming over from Europe for the Breeders' Cup filly and mare turf. I like the number 14 Cayenne Pepper on top. My second choice is the number 7 Terabellum. Sister Charlie, I think she's going to run well in here. We'll see if she still has enough to win a race like this. And the 11 Udara is my 4th choice. I'm picking Europeans to be dominant throughout much of this Breeders' Cup, and that I expect to be the case in the Breeders' Cup filly and mare turf, a race you want to play, like all the races, through NYRABets. Head on over to NYRABets.com. If you're not a member, use the promo code CUP25. We'll give you a free $25 bet, as well as matching up to $200 of your initial deposit.